supposed to be a cute little library vlog. I just moved into a new house. I was gonna take you on an adventure. We were gonna go see the new library, check out some books, have a good time. Thankfully, I did a test run yesterday though. You should just see it for yourself. I'm sorry to traumatize you like that, but this is the world I'm living in now. I don't know what I'm gonna do. But for today, we're just gonna go back to Old Faithful. We're going to Barnes & Noble. So I wanted to challenge myself this year when it came to my book buying habits. And I said at the beginning of this year, I said, Alexa, you are only buying one new book out of the month this year. And normally, you know, that would have been totally doable for me. You know why? Because normally I get my books from the library, but it's looking like that might not be so much of an option this time. So really, I don't know how many books we're going to get today, okay? I'm upset and I need something to read. When it comes to doing my makeup, my absolute, hands down, favorite part is my eyebrows. And I've heard a lot of people say that's like the most stressful part for them, but not for me. When I was in college and I was like really struggling with like my self-image and just not, I don't know, just not liking how I looked in general, I started praying about it. And one of the things that I felt like God was telling me to do was like, rather than hyper focusing in on those like particular features that you don't like about yourself, like anytime, like for me it was my cheeks. I always thought I had a face that was way too round, my cheeks were way too big, and so I felt him just telling me like, okay, you can either focus on that for the rest of your life, or you can choose to focus on like one thing that you do like about your face. Like just pick one thing, and every time you're about to start thinking about how much you hate the shape of your face or your cheeks or whatever, focus on how much you love your eyebrows. And it completely shifted everything for me, because I found that as I started focusing on that one thing that I genuinely like, did not have to convince myself I liked, I truly liked, I discovered that I would start to find other things that I actually did like about my face. It was just, I was so caught up in looking for the flaws or the problems that it was like my brain was just skipping over the good parts. And I realized that actually I do like my face. So yeah, now I love doing my eyebrows. It's my favorite thing. I use Boy Brow, the clear one, to like brush them. And then I use my little $3 e.l.f. pencil to fill them in. Okay, so what am I looking for at the bookstore today? Definitely at the top of that list are those gorgeous cloth-bound classics that I've been seeing everywhere on TikTok and Pinterest. All the Jane Austen ones are really pretty. My favorite Jane Austen book is Northanger Abbey, and I noticed that they did have a really pretty copy of that one that's like gray and pink. I don't really have a lot of pink in my room is the only thing, and I feel like that's one of those books that like, if you're gonna get a cloth-bound classic, I mean, you darn sure need to put it out somewhere in your room where everyone can admire it. So I'm not sure if it really goes with the vibe that I'm trying to create in this room right now, but it's really pretty nonetheless. The one for Persuasion is also really pretty. It's like this sage green color. Another book that I think I would like to get to kind of display is, oh, what's it called? It's by the lady who wrote Piranesi. I think her name's like Suzanne Clark or Susanna Clark. And the book is called Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. If you don't know anything about this book, it is a chunker. It is like probably almost 1,000 pages. Like not even in like a, wow, that book is 1,000 pages kind of way. Like it's really 1,000 pages. It is a brick. So like, is there even the remotest chance that I would ever read a book that long? No. If I were to try to read a 1,000-page book, it would take me like 3 years. So I don't think I'm gonna do that to myself, but the book sounds so cool. Like, have you ever heard about a book that it's just like, I wish I had already read that book? Does that make sense? Like, you don't want to actually go through the trouble of reading it, but you still want to know what actually happens. That's how I feel about this book. It's about magicians, and it's basically supposed to be this sort of like huge epic encyclopedia kind of study on magic. and like a very academic approach to like the history of magic within this like fictional world. It just sounds so cool. I don't know, maybe I'll listen to the audiobook, but the book is just really cool and dark academia and like I want it. I'm also maybe getting into Fae this year. And I said maybe. I never really hopped on the Fae train that I feel like everybody hopped aboard like, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago. I feel like every new series that comes out has to have something to do with Fae if it's a fantasy. It's not that I have like any particular issues with Fae, it's more just like I've not had a ton of exposure. I read one book that had Fae in it, and it was by Margaret Rogerson. It's called The Enchantment of Ravens. It's a good book, but I have heard from some of my, you know, bookish friends online that it's not really the best book to like give you an idea of what Fae literature is. So I'm thinking about maybe trying the Folk of the Air series. I definitely thought it was a romance at first, and I have since been educated, so don't worry. I have since been educated that it is not a romance. It is a fantasy with like a thin romance thread, you know, kind of strung in there. Speaking of Fae, I feel like a Fae when I do my blush like this. Like, don't I just look like I popped out of the woods somewhere? Ah! Oh, I can't be a Fae without a highlighter. I literally never hear anybody talk about this highlighter. It is from About Face, which is Halsey's brand. It's so pretty. It is like, ooh. See, look at it. The last thing that I want to look for at this Barnes & Noble is I want to look at the manga section. And if you are someone who reads manga, I would love some recommendations in the comments, because this is a genre that I try, like, one of my kind of reading goals last year was to read more manga, and it wasn't that I didn't like it, it was just I set a few too many goals for myself last year when it came to my reading, so I just didn't really have time to get to that one. So I really would like to read more manga. I did see this one on TikTok. I think it was called like the Book Saviors Cafe, but I saw it on this list of like cozy fantasy manga series to check out, which that is the vibe I'm going for right now. And wow, it sounds so cute and cozy. Like, curl up, cuddle up on a rainy day and read this book if you just want to be transported into a magical little bookshop. So yeah, for today we have cloth-bound classics, manga, and we've got maybe some Fae books like The Cruel Prince. Okay, we're ready! All-time favorite Jane Austen is Northanger Abbey. This is not a popular opinion, but I think it's the best. I know which one this is, I think. I got books! I got some books! Okay, first off, I found a cloth-bound classic. Look at her. She's beautiful. She is The Hound of the Baskervilles, which is a Sherlock Holmes story by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. I was heavily influenced by the cover. We knew this going in. I wasn't trying to hide it. Okay, and then the next one is equally as beautiful, and I did not think I was going to be able to find it because they didn't have it anywhere in the store. Except for at the very front, they had like two. And it's this book called Emily Wilde's Encyclopaedia of Faeries. I told you I was gonna get a Fae book, and I did it, okay? I did it. And could I have gotten a more beautiful one? No. It is literally written as if it were an encyclopedia or like an academic book. It has footnotes. I don't know if this is just me being super nerdy or if other people are gonna find this as cool as I do, but like, it has footnotes. Successful book shopping trip. I'm no longer as upset about the whole library situation. I'm sure I will be once I kind of come off of the, you know, endorphin rush of buying 2 new beautiful books that I get to keep and that nobody's gonna take back from me at the end of 2 weeks. So yeah, I still don't know what I'm gonna do, but I have new books. And, you know, we got to make a fun video about it. So thank you for coming with me today. I hope you had fun. Let me know what the last new book was that you purchased. And as always, if there's any way I can be encouraging you or praying for you this week, please let me know. Otherwise, my new books and I will see you next time. Bye!